Chad, I need you to give me the data. What's the numbers? Do we have numbers on completion rate for the epic raid? And then we need to just talk the epic raid. Post raid clarity. Oh my God. Is that the moment we're having right now? First up, can I just get a poll from everyone here? How did you feel about the epic raid? Was it good? Did it surprise you? Did it brick you? Mods, if we can get a poll on this, it'd be fantastic. It was not epic. It was too much for me. Awesome raid, horrible circumstance. All right, we've got a poll. If everyone can contribute to this poll right now, how do you feel about the epic raid? 42% say surprise, 6% say bricked, 3% say bored, and a whopping 49% say I could not care less. All right, the final poll results are in right now. At 57%, people could not care less. 38% is surprise, 4% bricked, 2% bored. All right, well, let me just pull up our raid experience this past weekend. A couple things. First up, this epic raid is a variation of the normal raid. So Desert Perpetual dropped an Edge of Fate. This is the epic version of that. I think that on one side, you had a lot of people just assuming that the encounters would be, you know, some champions maybe sprinkled in, but there wouldn't be any major mechanical changes. Although if I remember correctly, I thought Bungie said that they were going to be making mechanical changes, and they did do that. They made a lot of mechanical changes. And actually, this is one of the most intricate raids ever, because the order in which you do the encounters leading up to the final encounter will impact your overall experience. And I'm not really quite sure like what the most optimal way of even doing it. We did Wyvern first here and then rotated to Hydra and then Hobgoblin. And I was told that that was actually a bad combination to do. I'm not too sure though. Regardless, I went into this thinking that there was going to be some slight mechanical changes, but nothing else outside of that. The thing that really surprised many of us was Bungie didn't just do, hey, here's some slight mechanical changes. They actually hit us with an entirely new final encounter. You actually can see that this makes sense like from a lore perspective, because you've already killed the final boss. And so you can see like this area leading up, like you've already slayed the final boss in the Desert Perpetual Raid. And then you'll notice that like there's like, I guess like multiple realities happening here. But I just want to point out this area leading into this, okay? Take a look at this area, man. If you remember that like that trailer from Bungie years ago of like the Vex network, and this is when we thought at one time like the Vex were like the biggest bad in all of Destiny. This reminds me so much of this, but dude, take a look at this. This shit right here, man. I mean, look at this. Look at that. This is just the lead up to the final boss, man. This was crazy, man. Again, I don't want to even say like, even from like coming from the perspective of maybe my expectations were low on what the epic raid was going to bring. This standalone by itself is so impressive. Granted, this is just a traversal, but it's stuff like this that makes me pause and say, how the fuck can we have skyboxes and shit like this, but not have a ping system? You know what I'm saying? Like, what the hell? You can't tell me that a ping system is somehow more advanced than this shit. You know what I mean? We're glazing a traversal section, new low. Sinister, I'm glazing the entire final encounter. The entire final encounter of the epic raid, dare I say, it was epic. And but Bungie said it. They said it in the words. They said it was going to be epic, but it really was in fact epic. All right, so one of the reasons why this area was so epic is because Bungie decided to take every encounter pretty much and merge it into this final encounter, but with a huge twist. This is the only encounter in all of Destiny that you are allowed to rally 4 times, 5 times, 4 times, 5 times. You see, in between each one of these phases of doing the encounter and doing damage, it will pop you back up top and you are allowed to rally again. Now, the reason why this perplexes me is because we have not swap in this raid, which, let me be clear, not swap is not the same as locked loadouts. All right, I need everyone to understand that. Locked loadouts is like whatever you have on stays on. You can't swap anything. Not swap is you could still swap some things. Like you could still swap font mods and you could swap surge mods, but you can't swap your stat distribution. You can't swap your exotics. The reality is, I mean, look at my loadouts right now. I literally was swapping, maybe not as much as I was in the original DP, but still swapping in all the encounters, especially leading up to damage phase. So I'm not really sure if not swap solved the issues. If Bungie was literally trying to keep people from swapping. I think, and this is just my humble opinion, you let it ride, man. You let it ride. If someone, you know, if someone's saying that they were not able to clear a raid because they didn't have the ability to go into their menu and swap a loadout loadouts. I don't know, man. It sounds like a skill issue. You know what I mean? Just my humble opinion. What about consoles, bro? Let me say this for console players, because that always gets brought up in these situations. Everyone always brings up console players and how they're the ones being left behind. Exclamation point Starforge. If you feel like you can't loadout swap today, well, Starforge PC can come right to your home and you can start loadout swapping right now. If you use our link down below, that would be appreciated. I will say this. I'm not saying that you need to be swapping loadouts on a damn PlayStation 4. Hell no. Absolutely not. And somebody even showed video proof of people swapping loadouts on console. But it was a current gen console. I think it was like a PlayStation 5 or something. And they were able to do it pretty quickly, I might add. But let me just be clear. Console clears have always been less than PC clears. I'm pretty sure. Outside of maybe Root and Nightmares. Zone Slayer says it's 1,000% a skill issue. My friends and I play console and can all loadout swap when necessary. All right. Regardless, that was one of the big changes Bungie made to this Epic Raid. Not swap being added here. The second thing is they added streaming requirements. Someone from your team had to be streaming if you were competing for Worlds First. How do we feel about that? It doesn't stop cheaters. I'm really curious to see what the cheater numbers are. If I remember correctly, a huge reason why this was implemented is because it was 70% of day one completions in Desert Perpetual were cheaters. Guys, that 70% is a crazy number. It's wild to even think about that. And the reason why we're having this conversation is, do you want to see something like this done in the future? Because that's really what's happening here. Bungie is going to assess, and they're gonna look at community sentiment. They're going to ask that question. Is the future of a raid dropping with an epic version of it something they should do again? Personally, hell yes. I think if it's done like this, yeah. Like when I'm saying this, like actually, like you have these mechanical changes. It's this well thought out, and you've got this additional final encounter. I think so. I wouldn't mind an epic raid again in the future. Somebody brought up a good comment, and I saw it on Twitter yesterday, and it said that the raid and dungeon team at Bungie absolute cooks, and they should literally have the keys to the rest of the game. There's a lot of moving parts to Destiny, but I will say this, Bungie, your philosophy and how you handle raid design and dungeons and dungeon design, even if you just implement like that same philosophy with that same like intention across the rest of your teams for the rest of Destiny, I think Destiny as a whole would be a much better game, because they cook, man. I mean, like, they're up there with the music team. I think the only time like the raid fell flat for us was Root and Nightmares. And look, I'm gonna be honest, I like raids. I like dungeons even more. I think the dungeons are so fucking good in this game. I think dungeon content in Destiny, in my opinion, is the best content in the game. Now, I'm not saying dungeon, what do we have? Dungeon layers in the portal? That's completely different. That's like just a portion of the dungeon that's getting put into the portal mode. You know what I mean? Inside of just in its totality, the dungeons themselves, I think they're some of the best content in the game. But how long till the epic raid isn't even an option? This eats dev time. We know they won't be able to sustain this. All right. Well, I'm not going to get into that. I don't know what you're trying to say. This isn't a fucking 401k. Okay. You don't check on this shit 3-4 decades from now. And you know what I'm coming from? This is fucking gaming content. I don't know. It's relevant for the day. And then you move on and you get something else. He's asking about sustainability. Well, I would say this is much more sustainable. You're just asking if this is even sustainable. Okay, at one time, we used to get 2 raids and 2 dungeons per year. We're getting 1 raid, 1 epic raid, which has tweaks, but it's still the same raid, and then 1 dungeon. So you want to say which one do I think is more sustainable? I think this model is more sustainable. The question is, are we going to get an epic dungeon? We're getting a dungeon in Renegades. Is Bungie going to give us an epic version of the dungeon? They haven't said anything about it. I'm pretty sure they announced the epic raid like way in advance, right? On the roadmap. I don't think they've said anything about an epic dungeon. We're going to get a Pantheon-like event. That's what they said. All right. So in terms of sustainability, a damn good raid once a year, an epic raid following that, a dungeon, and then end the year off with Pantheon style. I fuck with that. That's the model. You want to talk about like what the model would be? In my opinion, that would be good shit, you know, good rollout of content every year. That's it. Yeah. Again, the reason why we're having this conversation is because I think Bungie right now is really trying to figure out like almost like their identity. And I know you guys are like, they've had 10 years, actually 11 years at this point, but we've always heard talk of like things not being sustainable. The 2 raids, 2 dungeon things, them saying that's not sustainable. You know, I would say if this is more sustainable, I'm okay with this. If it's delivered like this. It's got to be on this level of quality. If they don't add a new final encounter to the epic raid, then it's therefore no longer epic to me. It's just the same raid. You gotta have this extra encounter in this, and it's got to be on this level. It's got to be epic. Now, despite how I may be feeling about the epic raid, and I do think that it was extremely successful, and I had a really good time playing it. Despite these things, the numbers didn't look good, man. I'm really curious to see what raid participation on this is. Currently, right now, the emblems for comparison on this raid. Okay, so this is the emblem for this past weekend. Total redeemed 1,600. Damn. So this is for a regional DP. Is this number adjusted? Is this after the cheaters got cut out? That's low. That's low. Let's be clear, though, too. Player population is really low. Because you had to stream it. We're not all streamers. Correction. You only had to stream if you were going for world's first. Pump the brakes, man. Come on. Everybody's got fucking internet these days. Yeah, it's only for the world's first race. You could have... If you're saying you weren't able to do the raid because you were required to stream, brother, you could have definitely still done the damn raid. Plus, there's a go live button on literally every single device. My fucking toaster can go live. All right? I don't care if your damn mic was shit or not. You could have been live. You could have gone for it. If that right there is what kept you from participating in the raid, I'm sorry. You didn't have it. You just didn't have it in you, man. You know what I'm coming from? I think here's what really affected people. Finding other people to do the raid with. That is the problem. There is no people playing Destiny right now. The reason why this is sad is because I'm sitting here, I'm playing this raid, and I'm like, God damn, brother. This shit, they done cooked again. They done cooked again. This shit is epic. They said it was epic. I didn't know if it was actually going to be epic. They earned the right to call it epic. But then I look around and nobody's playing this shit. The issue is like, I don't want this to be a reflection on the raid and dungeon team. Like, it cannot be a reflection on them. It cannot be, well, you guys must suck at your job. Y'all fucked up. Nobody showed up to play this bitch. The game is designed for the top 1%. First up, normal raids are so fucking easy. Normal raids are literally easier than the content in the fucking portal. Dude, you realize at level shit in the normal raid, you're almost unkillable. Not with an LED, it's not. All right, so let's run the tape forward. Some of you are saying that the content in Destiny is designed for the top 1%. If you make the content approachable, which I do think normal raids are somewhat approachable, I think they're pretty easy outside of learning mechanics. But if you make them, maybe if you add in the tooltip, remember the tooltips they did for the dungeon? You add in a tooltip, but obviously you can't add that during a fucking day one environment. So yes. All right, let's be clear. The day one environment is definitely meant for people that are your most hardcore players. All right? They're your most hardcore players. It's 2 days. It's 48 hours. I don't understand why we keep ending up in this situation, guys. We go full circle here. Somehow it comes back to we're getting fucked because the game is not made for me. You know what I'm coming from? When in reality, whether it's World of Warcraft, whether it's fucking Final Fantasy, whether it's fucking RuneScape, where any game that requires time commitments, guess what? You gotta be good to fucking do the content. The goal line doesn't just move for you. You know how many months I failed at getting the fire cape? You know how many months I failed at that shit? You know how many times I made it to Jad to just get instantly shit on by Jad to start the fuck over? Brother, Jagged didn't just come out and say, hey, listen, Icy Hot 101, you've been getting shit on. We're gonna move the goalposts for you so that you can get a fire cape too. No, Jagged said, get good, motherfucker. Sucks to suck. And dude, that's honestly, in a lot of ways, that's what Destiny is. Now, here's what Bungie needs to do. They need to lower the barriers. They need to open up matchmaking for everything. Let it be a shit show. And it would be a shit show, brother. It would be an absolute shit show. And if you're looking for a more casual approach to things, then I guess you can go play Destiny Rising. By the way, I'm saying all this stuff with the realization in the back of my head that what's happening here is obviously not working for Bungie because the numbers are showing that it's not exactly working. But if we said, hey, all right, for the next year, we're going to make Destiny extremely casual. Everyone's going to get the emblem. Everyone's going to be able to play and participate and get the emblem. Everyone's going to get the bet salutes. Everyone's going to be a god. I don't really think that's going to work out well because we had a similar situation like that. It was called Root of Nightmares. And that shit blew up in everybody's face. Right now, we may walk away from this. I don't have all the numbers, but we may walk away from this raid showing extremely low numbers, potentially some of the lowest numbers in raid history, which is unfortunate because the raid cooked. But I do think that there needs to be something for everyone in Destiny. And right now, what's present in the game is for the hardcore, you do have the raids, especially day one raids and contests. And for everyone else, you've got the portal. That's just not as appealing. Portal needs to go. It's a bad idea. Power level should not determine the best loot. Should be skill. Les, can you calm down with your fucking elitist takes? No, Les. It should be one or the other. I've said this in the past. You keep coming back to this shit. Time commitment and skill. It should be both. If you suck at the game, you should be able to put in a fuck ton of time and get to where you need to get to. I don't want to hear this shit. It needs to be one or the other. Now, hold up. The other side of things is there needs to be coveted items that you cannot get unless you in fact have the skill. But we don't have those items in Destiny. I don't have a fire cape. You have some exotics you have to go get, but everything here is meant to be grindable. There's no prestige items outside of an emblem. I don't know. This is where cosmetics come in. Where cosmetics, like super prestigious cosmetics, would be something like that you would have like that skill gap to. Where it's like, you cannot get this unless you do something phenomenal. The problem is that cuts in to Eververse. We can't be having those earnable cosmetics, brother. Not when there could be money being spent. You know what I'm saying? That gets in the way of all that shit. Every problem in this game is just a deep hole that leads back to Eververse. This is supposed to just stay on. I'm trying to stay on topic of just the Epic Raid. I thought the Epic Raid was good. I was pleased with it. I think Bungie could be nailing a formula here that works for them. Comes down to the dungeon and Renegades now, how it does. And then if they are going to do a Pantheon style delivery, leading it to the next expansion afterwards. I think the other thing is, though, if we were to circle back to Ash and Iron, I know it's a quote unquote free update, but it just hasn't, you know what I mean? Like the raid cannot carry, you know what I mean? Like it can't just rely on just the Epic Raid to carry this block of content, especially considering that it rolled out so much later. That's where the Lost better bang. Yeah, dude, the exotic quest coming in October and Festival of Lost. They say they're giving us a 6-player activity, but it better bang, man. It better bang. Rated dungeon level content for solo players would be cool. Guys, we're going on 11 years now. You could do a dungeon solo, but like raids is meant to be done with the team. This is like one of those things like I hate doing live because I actually feel like if we just sat down for just a good day and just try to come up here with a formula that can coexist with what we're getting in terms of raids and dungeons that can be appealing to the wider player base and could sustain things. Okay, so you have two different directions. This video is fuck it. We're going off way topic here. One direction is to be a forever game, like a RuneScape, but it requires thousands and thousands of hours of commitment. All right. Just to get a 99 in one of your skills in that game takes a very, very long time. And then you have dozens of fucking skills. And it means something, by the way, because when you look at someone and you see their stats and they're all 99s and they got multiple capes, and then even beyond that, you got things like the questing cape or the fire cape or whatever else, you know what I mean? Like those things are like the prestige items. Then you got games like Path of Exile and Diablo, which has seasonal resets. And normally they introduce a bunch of sandbox changes. They'll introduce like a new class. There's a reason for you to start over is you want to hit the new seasonal content. And you also want to play with whatever the new shit is. Destiny doesn't really have that. And so what we have, or what we've had for a long time outside of the sunsetting that we had way back when, well, is essentially just a game that continually keeps building on top of itself. And obviously that system was not sustainable because we were showing, I mean, people were fatigued with the seasonal model. And then we went into episodes and no one liked episodes. And now we're in whatever system we're in now, which is not really even a seasonal model. And the player numbers are showing that people are obviously not that interested in this either. Destiny 3 needs to be a hard reset with no content from Destiny 1 or Destiny 2. Yeah, that's literally never going to happen. That's literally never going to happen. You guys say that. We're literally getting shit in Destiny 2 right now. This very fucking moment. Go to the portal. Pull up Fireteam Ops. Where does this take place, everybody? The Plague Lance. We are in year 11 of Destiny. If you think for 1 second you're not going to get the same shit, brother, you'll be getting a Hawkmoon mission again. You'll be getting everything that's ever existed in Destiny again in a D3. I'm not saying I'm not against the D3. I've already talked about this. I think for, man, dude, we've gotten really off topic. I woke up today. I said, we're just going to talk about the fucking Epic Raid, motherfuckers. It's true. Creator said no to a Destiny 3. Oh, yeah. We had that pool. That's right. We looked at Luke Smith and he said, hey, do you want a Destiny 3? And based on our decision in that very moment, we were able to dictate the future of Destiny and Destiny 3. Oh my God. You must have fucking been there. I didn't know. I didn't fucking know. It's true. Bitch, I was in the meeting. I was fucking there. The reality came down to this. And this is Shadowkeep. The question was asked, what can be made in Destiny 2 that you would have loved to have seen in a Destiny 3? That was the question. What can be made in a D2 that you would say is sequel worthy? And everybody started shitting out ideas. And you got to remember, at this time, this is Shadowkeep, we had static subclasses. So things that got brought up, customizable subclasses. Hence why we got the 3.0 system. weapon crafting. And there was a bunch of other stuff that you eventually did see get implemented in the game. Took years though. Took fucking years. So y'all are the reason we're still in Destiny 2? Yeah. Yeah, we're the reason we're still in Destiny 2. I fucked you personally. I fucked you personally. Actually, Destiny 2 community, I wanted to fuck you. In that moment, 2019, post-split from Activision, I thought to myself, how can I fuck this community so hard? And I'm in it for the long fuck. I thought to myself, what is the fuck that I could drag out potentially for the next decade? And I said, I'm gonna keep Destiny 3 from ever being a thing. I fucked your dreams. I fucked your hopes. I fucked your gaming experience. I fucked anything you ever thought you would be able to enjoy inside of Destiny. In that moment, when I gave my answer, my goal was to fuck you. You personally. I wanted to fuck you. And now I understand why Dado has left this community for the next 2 months. God damn, dude. God damn. I'm gonna go fucking find something to do. This conversation's really gotten out of hand.
Slap that like button like your mama told you right.